It was a perfectly ordinary red-eye flight on March 8, 2014. 239 souls, business travelers, families heading home to celebrate the Chinese New Year, 3 American citizens among them, settled into their seats aboard Malaysia Airlines Flight 370, a gleaming Boeing 777 bound from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. The cabin lights dimmed, parents tucked children in, flight attendants smiled as they served drinks. Everything felt routine, safe, until the sky swallowed the plane whole. At 12:41 a.m. local time, the jet lifted off smoothly into the warm Malaysian night. 38 minutes later, over the South China Sea, the captain or co-pilot radioed a calm, final message: "Good night, Malaysian 370." Those were the last words anyone on the ground ever heard from Flight 370. Seconds after that transmission, the plane's transponder blinked off. Its civilian radar signature vanished. No distress call, no mayday, just silence. In air traffic control rooms in Kuala Lumpur and Ho Chi Minh City, screens went blank. Controllers stared in disbelief. They tried hailing the flight again and again. Nothing. A modern airliner carrying 227 passengers and 12 crew had disappeared from one of the busiest air corridors on Earth. Panic rippled through the towers. Phones started ringing in capitals around the world. What happened next was the largest, most desperate search in aviation history, and the moment when ordinary investigators realized this might not be an accident at all. This could be something far darker: a hidden hijacking, a deliberate act, or even a covert operation that threatened the safety of every plane in the sky. The first clues came from military radar. Malaysian air defense systems picked up something shocking. Instead of continuing northeast toward Beijing, Flight 370 had made a sharp, deliberate U-turn. It flew back over the Malay Peninsula, crossed Penang Island, and headed west out over the Strait of Malacca. Someone in the cockpit had switched off the communications systems on purpose. The plane wasn't lost. It was being taken somewhere. As dawn broke, the Malaysian government scrambled fighter jets. They found nothing. No wreckage, no signals. The plane had simply vanished into the night. That's when the call went out to the world's top intelligence agencies. The FBI rushed teams to Kuala Lumpur. The CIA and other international partners joined the hunt. This wasn't just a missing plane anymore. This was a potential national security nightmare. FBI agents immediately began tearing apart passenger manifests. They cross-checked every name against terrorist watch lists. They examined the backgrounds of the 2 pilots, Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah, a veteran with over 18,000 hours, and First Officer Farik Abdul Hamid. They flew to the pilots' homes, seized computers, and discovered something chilling on Zahari's home flight simulator. Routes had been deleted. Routes that eerily matched the path the plane had taken into the remote southern Indian Ocean. Was this suicide, a hijacking, or something staged to look like one? Meanwhile, satellite data from British company Inmarsat began painting a terrifying picture. The plane hadn't crashed right away. It had kept flying for 7 long hours after vanishing from radar, powered by its own momentum and fuel, arcing deep into the vast emptiness of the southern Indian Ocean. 7 hours. That meant whoever was at the controls had plenty of time to carry out a plan. Families waiting at Beijing airport watched the clock tick past landing time. Hope turned to dread. Mothers clutched photos of their children. Fathers paced, praying for news that never came. The stakes were enormous. If this was a hijacking, what did the hijackers want? If it was a covert operation by a state actor, what message were they sending? Every government on Earth suddenly wondered, could this happen to our flights? Could someone turn off a plane's tracking systems and make it disappear forever? Global aviation security hung in the balance. For weeks, the world watched as ships from 26 nations scoured the Indian Ocean. Australian vessels towed underwater listening devices. Chinese and American planes flew grid patterns. The search area grew to thousands of square miles of some of the deepest, most remote ocean on the planet. FBI analysts worked around the clock in Washington, feeding data to Malaysian investigators. They confirmed no explosive residue on any recovered debris. No known terrorist group claimed responsibility. Yet the fear lingered.
What if the perpetrators were still out there, watching? Then came the first heartbreaking clues. In July 2015, a wing part called a flaperon washed up on a beach in Reunion Island, thousands of miles from the search zone. French authorities confirmed it belonged to MH370. More pieces followed, on beaches in Mozambique, Tanzania, South Africa. Each fragment told the same story. The plane had hit the water at high speed, breaking apart on impact. But where was the rest of it? Where were the black boxes that could finally reveal the cockpit voice recorder and flight data? As months turned into years, the theories grew darker and more disturbing. Some experts pointed to a possible hypoxic event, sudden cabin depressurization, that left the crew unconscious while the plane flew on autopilot until it ran out of fuel. Others insisted it was deliberate. The captain, perhaps overwhelmed by personal demons, choosing to end it all in the most remote place possible. Still others whispered of a sophisticated hijacking or even a military shoot-down covered up. Intelligence agencies quietly investigated every angle. The FBI never ruled out foul play. The CIA monitored global chatter for any whisper of responsibility. The emotional toll was unbearable. Families formed support groups, flying to Kuala Lumpur year after year, demanding answers. Chinese relatives staged protests. American families quietly pushed their government for more transparency. They watched as search after search was called off. In 2017, after spending $150 million and scanning 46,000 square miles of seabed, Australia, Malaysia, and China suspended the official hunt. The plane was presumed lost. But for the families, presumption was not enough. Then, in late 2025, hope flickered again. A private company called Ocean Infinity signed a no-find, no-fee deal with Malaysia. Their advanced underwater robots dove deep into a newly narrowed search zone based on the latest drift analysis. For 28 days across 2 phases, ending January 23, 2026, they scanned 7,571 square kilometers of rugged ocean floor. The world held its breath once more, but when the vessels returned to port, the announcement was devastating. No wreckage found, not a single trace of the main fuselage or the black boxes. 12 years later, as of March 2026, Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 remains missing. The largest aircraft disappearance in modern history is still unsolved. The FBI and international intelligence agencies have never closed their files. Every new piece of satellite data, every new drift model, every whispered lead gets re-examined. Families continue to plead for one more search. They refuse to accept that 239 lives could simply vanish without explanation. Think about it. A Boeing 777, one of the safest planes ever built, equipped with multiple backup systems, disappeared without a trace in an age of constant surveillance. Someone, or something, made sure the world would never know what happened in those final hours. Was it a lone pilot's final act of despair? A terrorist plot that succeeded too perfectly? Or a covert operation so sophisticated that even the world's best intelligence agencies are still chasing ghosts? The southern Indian Ocean is cold, dark, and unforgiving. It holds its secrets tightly. But somewhere down there, in the black depths, lie the answers. The cockpit voice recorder that might capture the last terrifying moments. The flight data that could reveal who was really in control. And until they are found, the fear remains. If it happened once, it could happen again. The sky above the South China Sea is quiet now, but on that March night in 2014, it witnessed something the world still cannot explain. 239 lives changed forever in a single silent turn. And the most terrifying question of all lingers in the air. What really happened to Malaysia Airlines Flight 370? And who made sure we would never know?